Clark, attorney for the Mike Brown family. Good morning, Anthony Clark.
It's Anthony Gray, Gray, but that's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, Anthony. Gray, did you say?
Yeah, it's Gray, as in the color, Gray.
I'm sorry, Anthony Gray. I apologize. Um, we're starting to hear that the second witness has yet to talk to the police. Is that possible?
That is possible. Here's what we have going on with the witnesses, from what I understand. A lot of the witnesses are fearful to come forward and talk with the police, and in their minds, justifiably so. We are putting a call out, and that has been my main message to those that have information and evidence to come forward and talk to the police. We have offered attorneys to actually go in there with them so that they will feel somewhat comfortable talking with the authorities. This incident has, even as it affects the community, it has climbed up a lot of the witnesses, and so it's quite possible that the second witness has not talked to the police based on that information.
How many witnesses do you think are out there?
Well, from my count, and don't hold me to the exact number, from what I'm being told is about 7 to 8 eyewitnesses of the event from beginning to end. This happened in broad daylight, keep in mind. And while people are milling around and going about their daily activity, this didn't happen under the cover of darkness. This is in broad daylight. And so our count is 7 to 8.
Any of those 7 to 8 witnesses, do they have video, pictures, or any other evidence?
From what I'm being told, and I qualify that statement that way, one of the witnesses actually caught some of the pre-shooting events. Perhaps we know that there's a ton of post-shooting video out there, pictures of the body laying in the street and those kind of things. But as far as capturing the actual sequence of events, I've been led to believe there may be 1 or 2 cell phone videos that captures that, one in which the police may already have in their custody.
Okay, so
because the young lady turned her cell phone over to the police.
Just so I understand, Anthony Gray, attorney for the Mike Brown family, from what you understand, you think there are at least 1 or 2 witnesses that might have some type of partial video of the pre-shooting.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's my impression. From the time that the police actually stopped Mike and his friend as they were walking down the street, I believe one of the young ladies said, I began taping it just on the if come that something were to happen. And her comments was, and I was shocked to capture what she captured. And so that video, that one video that I'm speaking of right now, was turned over to the police. I don't know what it shows. I don't even know what that statement actually means when she said it, but the police allegedly have that footage in their possession as we speak.
I know you were saying that at least 7 witnesses are kind of hesitant to come forward. Now, we were reading reports that Dorian Johnson, who really seems like a key witness, that his attorney offered to have his client talk to police, but that police declined. Have you heard anything about that?
Well, I haven't heard that the police declined. I am familiar with the fact that Dorian, actually, he's made a couple public statements in the comfort of his own setting to the media. I'm not aware of him declining to go or the police declining to interview him. If that's true, I guess the question is, why would they decline to talk to an eyewitness of this event? So that's kind of puzzling to me, but anything's possible at this point. I've heard worse.
You are the attorney for the family. The family has been very outspoken, critical of the looters and some of the rioters that are going on. Do you feel that the looters and the rioters are taking away from the actual real story, and that is the shooting of Mike Brown?
There's no question about that. No doubt about it. This family has been adamant and consistent with the fact that they feel that the looting and the rioting is distracting from the legacy of their child. It is not indicative or reflective of the kind of personality that he had. And personally, my mission today, I woke up this morning with a purpose in my heart to do whatever I can to get the message out there that we are not behind looting and rioting. We don't associate ourselves with that as a family, as a legal team, and we're calling for a community-wide calm. This is really not a black-white issue to me. Although there's a racial undercurrent here, this is about all of us looking at an incident and getting the most transparent and reasonable and objective evidence to tell us what happened. The whole world is curious, and that's all we have is a colorblind curiosity about what happened. And that's all this is about primarily, although there's this, this racial undertone. But it's not about that with this family. They just want to get the curiosity resolved in their mind in the legacy of their son to be remembered not in a riotous and looting way. I think that does a great disservice to this young man's life in this incident.
Anthony Gray, do you have any problems with the ongoing investigation, the way the police are investigating this, the way the police are handling this investigation? Do you have any issues with that?
I do, sir, and with all due respect to the chief of the county, I know him, I spoke to him, and I was behind his promotion. But to get in front of the national news, and we have, humans are primacy people. Whatever primarily enters the brain first is what we fight against later with other versions of events. And to get in front of the camera and give a completely one-sided version of events, as a cop, when you investigate even a simple auto accident, you say driver number one said this, then driver number two said that. To get in front of the camera and just give the officers' versions of events and completely ignore the fact that you have 7 to 8 witnesses that have a diametrically different version and not at least give that causes me some concern about the objectivity of this investigation. Yes, I'm deeply concerned by that because I think the responsible thing to do is say, okay, the officer said X, we have witnesses that say Y, and we're going to investigate the difference between the two and come with an investigative finding that's going to either disprove or prove the other one. Plain and simple. We can all accept that. But what he did was just so lopsided. He's lost his investigatorial objectivity in my mind, and that disqualifies St. Louis County from investigating it, in my opinion.
Michael Brown's mother, I saw her at the news conference yesterday in so much pain right now, and I know that her son's body's going through a second autopsy today. How are they doing, and have they made any type of funeral arrangements? Do we know when this funeral will take place?
They're shooting for next Saturday, and they want to do a weekend because they have family members that are allegedly traveling into St. Louis. So the planning is still ongoing. Nothing has been finalized yet. We're going to post whatever the final arrangements are. There's even a question as to whether or not it will be a private ceremony versus public, and we're going to allow the family to make that final decision. But as far as how they're doing, let me give you a description of how the mom looked when we dropped her off yesterday. She had been crying and so emotional all day that her eyes were pretty much swollen shut. And, when I looked at her, and that's the reason why I'm doing interviews and some of the other extended family are reaching out to the community to talk, because she's in no condition at this point to even talk about this incident anymore. And the same goes for the father. If you look at them, just when you look at them physically, not to even say anything, because you can just measure that they're not emotionally and physically in a condition to talk.
Anthony Gray, Al Sharpton is coming to town to meet with the family. Did the family ask Al Sharpton to come? Is he coming on his own? What's the reason for Al Sharpton coming to town?
From what I gather, he's coming on his own. The family did not reach out to Reverend Al Sharpton. I think he gained an interest in what was happening after the looting and the rioting, and when he called actually the Ben Crump, the national lawyer that is pretty much serving as the lead on this case, he asked if it would be okay to come in and join with us. And we're also asking law enforcement to get on our side too, to call for a peace and a calm. This is, I got to disabuse this notion and break this barrier that is us against them. That is not the case. We are united in the same purpose, in the same cause, and that is to satisfy a genuine and legitimate curiosity about what happened in Canfield Apartments. period. So he's coming here to basically join with other clergy to hit the street because a lot of their parishioners are in the street and to say, hey, calm down, looting and rioting is not the answer. We want them to do an independent and fair investigation. So that's the primary purpose for his visit today.
Anthony Gray, attorney for the Mike Brown family, you are always welcome on this show.
Thank you, sir. And thank you so much for having me on here, and you guys have a great day.
Anthony Gray, attorney for the Mike Brown family, 834, Big 550.